All right, folks, so welcome to Pro Tools Lab number 5. This is a Mac video walkthrough using Pro Tools Intro. And this is a lab which we call Pro Tools Edit number 2, also known as PIGS. What I've done is I went ahead and I downloaded this zip file. I've unzipped it and placed it into my project folder. I've also downloaded my set of instructions, which is right here. This will have the script, so it's nice to see where the brackets are, which are the issues. And you'll want to follow along with that as we go. So I've done both of those. Now this is a little different than before because what I'm going to download and unzip is an actual Pro Tools session, which includes all of the assets that are needed. So it already has the audio, so you won't be bringing in just the solitary audio file like we did from the other lab. So we'll be actually launching the session directly from that download. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go to that session and go ahead and open it up. Now remember, this is in my documents, just like yours. Here's the blue folder. It says Edit Exercise 2, Revise 2. There's some things in here. What I'm doing is I'm double clicking on this .ptx file. That will force Pro Tools to launch and open. Also make a mental note, there is a file in here called dunbar.wave. You will need that at a later time for this particular project. So I'll go ahead and do a double click. All right, if you get a message, you can just click no. All right, so as I mentioned, this is going to be the actual session. So I'm going to go ahead and resize this a little bit so I can get this to fit onto our screen. So you can see the audio file is already in this session, so I did not have to import this in. The session was already made, so it was already recorded into the session. All right, I do need to verify my playback engine, so I'll go to Setup. I see my aggregate is correct. I also like to go to my I/O just to double check everything looks right here. Let's go ahead and hit the space bar and see if we have the audio.
A pleasant good afternoon to you. This is Steve Julian with the KPCC Newswatch. Here is the latest breaking news.
Okay, so when I hit space bar, I'm hearing the audio come through. This is a mono audio track. It's the voiceover track. And we're going to need to do some breaks, some edits, some cuts, and at some point we'll even be importing that dunbar.wave right into it. Okay, so the idea is we're creating this voiceover. It's sort of like a news story. And you're going to hear the announcer talking about incidents. And then we've got these sounds, these sound effects, that we want to go ahead and have them playing while he's talking about that story. And specifically, he's going to be talking about some pigs on the freeway. And we're going to hear pig sounds. So we want those sounds to happen when he's talking about the pigs. And then there's also a story where he talks about bowling, and there's going to be the sound of a bowling ball, and we want to have that playing when he's talking about the bowling story. And then there's a random commercial that we'll be cutting out. It's like a horror commercial type. We'll cut the whole thing out. That shouldn't be there. And then there's a few mispronounced words where they talk about there'll be low clouds with a chance of light sprinkles. And then lastly, there's some music that happens at the very end that has some stuttering in it. And we're going to go ahead and cut out the bad portion of that music track so that it plays nice and smooth. Oh, and then the best part is there is a section where it talks about Professor Jeff Rudisill bowled a perfect 300. And I'm going to have you remove that professor's last name, Rudisill, and replace it with my last name, which is Dunbar. So it'll sound like Professor Jeff Dunbar bowled a perfect score at Bahama Bowling Alley. But let's go ahead and get into it. So remember, I like to go ahead and do a few zoom ins with letter T. Remember, you have the keyboard focus activated here. And now when I go ahead and hit return and space bar,
A pleasant good afternoon.
I do notice that there is a little bit of a gap at the very beginning. And so I am going to trim that away. Now if I use that shuffle mode, remember what happens. I can trim it, and then it just slides over there right to the beginning. So that was a nice little move. So that's our first bracketed number 1. So we get that first edit taken care of.
A pleasant good afternoon to you. This is Steve.
Okay, second one is when he says this is Steve, it's supposed to say Steve Julian. Instead it says Steve and then there's a random sound effect and then it says Julian. So we want to cut out that random sound effect. Let's go ahead and dial that one in.
A pleasant good afternoon to you. This is Steve.
All right, it looks like it stops right here.
Julian.
All right, so there's here, remember I can do that letter B, and then there's the beginning of it, which is right about here. Now, don't be afraid to go ahead and do some closer zoom, so letter T, so I can get really close on that edit. Now, I'll go ahead and keep myself in shuffle mode, so that when I click with the grabber and hit the delete key, it'll go ahead and get rid of it, and then it slides it to the left. Let's listen to my edit.
Is Steve Julian with the KP.
Very good. You can't even tell that there was an edit made.
Is Steve Julian.
Perfect. So we have Steve Julian. That was number 2. Here's the latest breaking news. So he's going to start talking about the Foothill Freeway. Let's go ahead and let it play on a little bit.
Newswatch. Here's the latest breaking news for Southern California. The Foothill Freeway has been closed down when a truck full of pigs tipped over with more than 100 of the animals still roaming the freeway.
Okay, interesting. So, as I mentioned, there is a sound of pig somewhere. We just didn't hear it yet. So this bowling sounds like maybe it's not in the right place, but also it's supposed to underscore what's happening. So we're going to do a little production work here, and we're going to go ahead and isolate these assets. And the first one is going to be this bowling ball thing. And let's see how long that bowling ball lasts. I'm going to do one letter B, because that's the beginning of the bowling. And let's let it go all the way to the end, which is right about
In sports.
here. Right, it says in sports. So I'm going to hit letter B again. Now, I'm not going to delete this because I am going to use it here in the next section. Now, I am going to do something sort of nice, which is where I have the grabber. If I double-click grabber, I can now rename this clip. I'm going to call that bowling ball. You're going to notice in the upper left-hand corner of the clip, now it says the name of bowling ball, which is very helpful. So I'm moving these clips around, I can see what it is. Let's go ahead and find the next little bit. We're not going to move that yet.
In sports, Pasadena City College professor Jeff Rudisil bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend.
All right, so we have the sounds of pigs happening right about here. We're going to hit letter B. Wow, this really goes on for a long time. Okay, so we'll go to the end of the pigs and do letter B, and that's my next break. So now I have, notice, a larger section. And I'm going to double click again with the grabber. I'm going to call this pigs. Oops, I got to spell it right. Pigs. And now upper left hand corner I can see the clip says pigs. Alright, so we're starting to get a little more advanced now, aren't we? So we're doing renaming of clips. Double click with grabber. We're deleting things as needed. But now we need to actually create a new track so that we can place these other sound effects onto it. So we're going to go ahead and add a new track right down here. And the way we're going to do this is with the shortcut Shift Command N for new. And when I hit those 3 keys, it brings up this new track dialog box. And it says create one new mono audio track and samples. And I'm going to name this. Let's call this SFX, which is our sound effects track. And I'll go ahead and just click create. Now see what it did is it just placed that track right below my other VO track. And now it's ready to, I can place things right on it if I need. Now, there's an important step here before I start moving clips around. In the upper left-hand corner, you need to get the edit mode back to slip mode. That way, when you drag something down, like the bowling ball, it doesn't automatically go to the very beginning, like snap it. So I just dragged it off, but it's on the track here. When he's talking about bowling, I think that's over here. What we needed to do is find those pigs. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide this over here for now. And I want to get that pig section and place that kind of towards the beginning. So I'm going to click and drag this like over here. Let's see if that, oh good, I didn't cover anything up. And again, I'm just dragging with that grabber tool, notice. So now I want to listen to where he starts talking about pigs.
News for Southern California. The Foothill Freeway
All right, so he starts talking about pigs here. So I want those pigs to start making their noise a little later here. I'm just dragging to the right to make sure I don't cover up the bowling ball yet. And I'm going to go ahead and listen to this story now.
California. The Foothill Freeway has been closed down.
I'm going to just move it just a little more.
The Foothill Freeway has
Even just a tad more.
The Foothill Freeway has been closed down when a truck full of pigs tipped over with more than 100 of the animals still roaming the freeway.
Okay, I like that. I like the way that kind of ramps up right here to that real loud squeak. But I don't need all this extra stuff, so I am going to go ahead and get rid of some of it. So let's go ahead and go here. I'm going to do letter B, and I'm just going to get rid of the longer pig sounds. Now remember what I mentioned from the other lab. If you do make a break and you're not happy, you want to bring it back, it's always there. So notice you can always click and you can untrim with that trim tool. So you can always bring it back if needed. But for now, I'm going to place it right about here. All right, let's hear how that sounds just towards the end here.
100 of the animals.
Also, I think the pigs in general are a little bit loud. So I'm going to do Command equals and get myself over here to this mixer. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the pigs down. Now notice the SFX track is right here. I'm going to bring that down to about -10. And now let's listen. My shortcut for that is Command equals, goes back and forth.
100 of the animals still roaming the freeway.
I think that's a little better in my opinion. Okay? So now the oinking stuff isn't quite as loud. Now the next story is the story about the bowling. So we're going to go ahead and do this.
Still roaming the freeway. In sports, Pasadena City College.
We don't want it to be too abrupt. Let's try this.
Still roaming the freeway. In sports,
Okay, I kind of like this. Now, I am going to do this one. I usually don't teach this technique at this stage, but this is a very handy technique. Now watch what happens. Remember I talked about the fade tool popping up on the upper left or right hand corners of a clip. I don't like how the pigs just kind of abruptly cut. So I'm going to go upper right hand corner and it turns into the little box. I'm going to do a little drag to the left, and that's going to smooth out that little pig bit.
Still roaming the freeway. In sports,
so now it doesn't sound like it cuts. It just has a real fast fade out.
The freeway. In sports, Pasadena City College.
Okay, so now we got to get the bowling going, and that's over here. We're going to drag this and slide it over here a little bit. I think he starts doing it right back.
Pasadena City Sports. Pasadena City College professor Jeff Rudisil bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas.
All right, I'm going to slide it over here. I want to get the timing a little bit better.
Pasadena City College professor Jeff Rudisil bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend.
All right, that's kind of cool, right? So you can hear the bowling ball in the background. It's not too loud.
City College professor Jeff Rudisil bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend.
Okay, that's pretty smooth. So I just moved that over a little bit. So now we have bowling ball sounds happening while the announcer is talking about bowling. Now, remember I mentioned there's a change of the professor's name.
College professor Jeff Rudisil.
Right in here. And in order for me to kind of fine-tune this, I like to solo this track. Now, solo means I'm going to hit the letter S on the track for solo. And now all I'll hear is the voiceover.
Jeff Rudisil bowled a perfect.
And my goal here is to get rid of Rudisil, which is here. I'm still in slip mode. I'm going to delete it.
Jeff bowled a perfect.
Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and in this little spot, I'm going to fit in that WAV file that I had you download as part of that folder. So I'm going to jump back into my system here. And remember where we had stored that file was edit exercise 2, and there was this little Dunbar.wave. Now I'm going to do a drag and drop, and I'm going to just plop it right in this space and see what happens. I'm going to have to move some stuff around, and in fact, I'll save myself a little trouble, and I'll do this in shuffle mode. So I'm going to grab the Dunbar.wave. I'm going to drag it right here. You can see the yellow outline. I'm going to let it go. And boom. I have now just imported that audio track right into this session. Let's listen.
Professor Jeff
Dunbar.
Haha, that's funny. That's my voice. So Professor Jeff Dunbar bold, and then I can drag this like this, and I'm still in shuffle now.
Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 300.
Okay, now I'm going to do some very fast editing here. I'm going to slip this. Let's see what I think.
Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 3.
All right, it's getting better.
Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 3.
I hear a little out of a cut here.
Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 3.
It's getting better. Let me do this then.
Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 300.
All right. Now, I can do a few things here because you'll notice on our speakers or on your headphones, this part is way too loud, isn't it? You can see how high the waveform looks. And so I'm even going to give you another special hint that I usually don't get into until later, which is something called clip gain. Clip gain happens at the lower left-hand corner of your clip. You see this, it looks like a little tiny 0 dB. It has a little line with a square. When I click and hold with my mouse, watch what happens. It brings up a little fader. Now I'm holding the mouse click, and now I'm going to drag the mouse down. And look, I'm actually changing the volume of that clip. Now let's see how it sounds.
Professor Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 300.
Also, I don't like this little cut. It sounds like I can hear it too much. I'm going to go up here. Now I'm going to do a very, very fast fade in.
Professor Jeff Dunbar. Bold a perfect 300.
I think that helps smooth out the little edit that I made. And I can turn the bowling ball back in, and it sounds something like this.
City College Professor Jeff Dunbar. Bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend.
All right, that's pretty smooth. We're kind of giving some life to this little news story. All right, so everyone saw what I did. I brought this in, I drag and dropped it. Did a little tiny fade in to, so I got rid of the clip sound. I also did a clip gain lower left-hand corner of that clip there. All right, let's go ahead and find out what's happening now. You notice I have a real big gap. I'm going to zoom out here with the letter R, and I'm going to get a little closer so I can drag this over. Now, you see that big gap here, right? See that big gap? I could go ahead and click and I could just slide it over. But remember, if I jump into shuffle mode, I can do this. And you'll see as I go to the left, boom. So that's fast because it goes right to the edge.
Lanes this past weekend. We will have the weather forecast.
All right, I might cut out a little bit of this breath.
Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend. We will have the weather forecast right after this short timeout.
Okay, nice. So I did little, that was an edit using shuffle, so I didn't have to drag and move it around. But I do like that transition right into here. Now, I have this weird random commercial. It lasts for many, many seconds. And that whole commercial needs to come out. Notice on the script, it's right where it says, we will have the weather forecast right after the short timeout, which is number 6 bracket. And there's going to be a female announcer that we do want to keep in. It's not on the script, but I'll go ahead and show you where that's at. So here's the random commercial.
Timeout.
It's a week of psychopaths, murderers, werewolves, murdering, marauding maniacs. This marvelous week of murder begins when you're dead. A malicious tale about a maniac with a deadly eye for murder. All this begins Monday on Channel 7's 3:30 movie.
This is 89.3.
So this is 89.3. That's good, but everything else has got to come out. So I'm going to place the cursor here. I'm going to hit letter B, and I'm going to backtrack and go back to the beginning of that commercial, which was right here. And letter B there. Now I have this big section. Again, I'm going to stay in shuffle so that when I hit the delete key, it goes ahead and snaps it to the left of that clip.
Right after this short timeout.
This is 89.3 KPCC Pasadena.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? I'm going to fine-tune that cut too because I didn't like this little bit here. Let's go ahead and just trim away a little bit. Let's see if we can tighten that up.
After this short timeout.
This is 89.3
That's better.
KPCC Pasadena, Southern California Public Radio.
Taking a quick check at the weather, we'll have...
All right, so now we're down here at the brackets where it talks about number 7 and also number 8. All right, I'm going to leave that little gap in because I like it gives us a little breath. So I'm going to leave that, and let's go ahead and let it play a little bit.
Radio.
Taking a quick check at the weather, we'll have clouds, low clouds.
So he messed up his words.
Clouds, low clouds.
So low clouds is good. Clouds not good. Again, I'm going to stay in shuffle edit mode. This time I'm going to do a highlight. Remember, we can do this highlight also, and then hit the delete key.
We'll have low clouds with a chance of sprite wrinkles, light sprinkles.
Then you said sprite wrinkles. That's not something. So let's go ahead and highlight that and delete it.
With a chance of light sprinkles. Now back to the music on.
Good. So it all sounds like this.
Taking
right
a
there.
quick check at the weather, we'll have low clouds with a chance of light sprinkles. Now back to the music on KPCC with this all-time classic from my personal collection.
Okay, now we are getting into the music. Now the music track, you're gonna listen, it has this nice little intro, little keyboard thing. This all sounds good. Nice pop song. Alright, there's some problems. And then we're back into it. So notice there's a whole section of, I don't know what happened. We had some gremlins or something on the CD where all of a sudden you got all this weird scratchiness and you got like a monster and some random voices. So we have to get rid of all of that stuff, but we still want to retain like the beat of the music. So we don't want to just haphazardly make a cut and then it throws the counts of the music off. So I'm going to go ahead and back up a little bit. So it feels like count 1, 2, 3, 4 is right in here, and then it takes off into a weird section right here, doesn't it? Let's back up again. So it feels like it's right in here. Okay, right in here. Now I'm going to do some letter T so I can kind of zoom in. Feels like it's kind of messed up right in here. You can see that first little spike. So I'm going to go ahead and place my cursor and hit B. And I can come back and fine tune, but I am going to go now to the end and see if I can see where the music kicks back in. Right there. Boom, right here. And that's letter B too. Now, I am also going to give you a third little tip or trick. I'm going to do Command Z, undo this. Let's say that I wanted to really ensure that I place this cursor right at the beginning of that attack or that hit. Pro Tools does allow you to do this with a little key right here. You can see it's just to the right side of the number 5. And this is called the tab, T-A-B, to transient activation. And when you do that, now I'm going to hit the tab key on my keyboard. And it's going to move the cursor to the exact location of that initial, what they call a transient, which is an attack. I didn't have to try to guess with my mouse. I just back up here and I hit the tab key. You see that time it moved it here. I'm going to move it again. And that takes it right to the prime location of my edit. And I'm going to do letter B right there. So again, the tab to transient, when you activate it, it turns the tab key on your keyboard into a way to skip to the next possible attack. And then it places that cursor right in the exact perfect location so that when you make the cut, you don't get a random click or a pop. I'm going to zoom out, letter R. This is the whole section here. I'm going to stay in shuffle. I'm going to hit that delete key. Now I'm going to cross my fingers, give this a listen, back it up a couple seconds. And my concentration is right in this section. And I'm going to tap my foot so that I can keep with the beat and see if anything gets kind of thrown off when I get here. It sounded pretty close, doesn't it? Listen. If anything, there's a slight, I want to say it's a slight, like it's a little too much of a jump. I'm going to see if I can fix that jump. So I'm going to go to the left clip and I'm just going to elongate it just about here. And let's see if that, just by making that little tiny move, if it helps it at all. I think it did help it just a little bit, didn't it? And now really, if you close your eyes and listen, you can't really tell that we just removed like 25 seconds of like noise and weirdness. Now it just sounds like the track, doesn't it? All right, so that was kind of fun to work with the music, tap your foot, make sure your edit happens right on the beat. And then we'll let this play out. And really the last little bit, I don't think it's on the paper, but we just want to do like a little fade out at the end.
We ordered different drinks at the same bars. I know about what you did and I wanna scream the truth.
All right, so that's the end. So I do want to do a fade. In this case, I am going to go ahead and use that little fade tool that I showed you, upper right-hand corner. And remember, you're only going to get that as an option if you're using the Smart tool. So all three tools are activated. So you go up to the upper right-hand corner and 16, 15, 14. I'm going to have this be about this long of a fade, which is about a 3-second fade. So I'm going to drag here and let go, and then give that fade out a listen. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Just fades out. And it fades out to silence. And so that's solid. I'm good. And then I'll go back. I'll do Command S to save the whole thing. And I'll go ahead and let this play so you can compare yours to mine. But I'll go ahead and play the whole thing, and you can give the whole thing a listen. Here we go.
A pleasant good afternoon to you. This is Steve Julian with the KPCC News Watch. Here's the latest breaking news for Southern California. The Foothill Freeway has been closed down when a truck full of pigs tipped over with more than 100 of the animals still roaming the freeway. In sports, Pasadena City College professor Jeff Dunbar bowled a perfect 300 at the Bahamas bowling lanes this past weekend. We will have the weather forecast right after this short timeout.
This is 89.3 KPCC Pasadena, Southern California Public Radio.
Taking a quick check at the weather, we'll have low clouds with a chance of light sprinkles. Now back to the music on KPCC with this all-time classic from my personal collection.
I do my makeup in somebody else's car. We ordered different drinks at the same bars. I know about what you did and I wanna scream the truth.
Very nice. You can hear how it turned out. I think it turned out pretty nice. Now the last step, obviously, is to go ahead and do that bounce. Now, double check if you do Command equals that when you look at your mixer, we do need to make sure we have the outputs matching. So the outputs should match whatever they are on yours. So if yours says main or yours says analog 1, 2 or whatever, make sure that that also lists it here so you have the same one. Mine has a bunch of extra things, but make sure that they match. So you still have main output, and this one is also showing the main. That way when you do the bounce you'll get both tracks. Okay, so just double check on your mixer. These two outputs match. They have to be the same, and that's the only way this bounce is going to work. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is draw my selection. And I went into the timeline at the top, the ruler. I click and drag all the way to the left. I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to choose Bounce Mix. Bounce Mix. Let's go ahead and give this a name. Edit 2. And then go ahead and put your initials. And this is the MP3 name that you're gonna be uploading. Where it says file type, let's go ahead and change that to MP3. Mix source, that's the important one. That needs to match whatever the outputs is of your mixer. Now, by default, that should already be there, but mine is a little different, so I had to change it. So mine is main. So make sure that it says main or whatever your main outputs are. And then here where it says file format, I need to change this to interleave. And then here where it says sample rate, we're going to change that to 44.1. So we have a couple things we have to fix here. And then a lower left-hand corner, go ahead and click offline. Session folder, bounce files. As long as I don't make any changes, we know exactly where that MP3 is going to go. Right into that blue folder from the very beginning. Go ahead and click bounce. This one, I just click OK a second time. All right, you saw the progress. It's finished. Now I'll go ahead and do Command S. And I'll do Command Q, which will quit Pro Tools. And now I need to go locate that bounce file. Okay, bounce file is in my documents, if you've done my projects, at exercise 2, that's the session folder. And now in there's a new folder called bounce files. And that's the file that I'll be uploading to Canvas. Now remember, you can also double check to see if that worked. Single click.
A pleasant good afternoon
Hit the
to
play.
you. This is Steve Julian with the KPCC
Listening.
Newswatch. Here is the latest breaking news for Southern California. The Foothill Freeway has been closed down when a
Awesome. So I can hear everything sounds good. I'm ready to go ahead and click Start Assignment. Okay, so let's go ahead and do Start Assignment. Goes to the very bottom. Remember, you always need to sort of bring this back up so that you can get to this. And then I have to go locate that MP3, which is going to be in here. And it's simply drag and drop right onto the rocket ship. And now remember, before you click Submit Assignment, you do need to fill out the comments. And you'll see that there's some questions right here. Click Comments, answer those questions, and then you click Submit Assignment. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Submit Assignment. I don't need to answer the questions. And then I have pizza and success. All right, you're finished. Good job on this. Feel free to go back and review this video at any point, but you should be in good shape. Just make sure that you've listened to that MP3 before you submit it, and that you can clearly hear the voice and those sound effect parts. And if you can't hear the sound effects, you need to make an adjustment on that mixer window so that the output matches the same output as the VO track. So whatever it might be, analog 1-2 or analog 1-2 or main, they both have to say the same thing. And also make sure they're not in italics. So if any of those are ever italicized, then that means they don't work at all, and you'll need to do some troubleshooting. Okay, well, enjoy and good luck.